Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this afternoon as we get set up for the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, as the Oilers have to give up the old regular start time on a Saturday night Hockey Night in Canada matchup to accommodate the Toronto Maple Leafs faithful as they invade our building and as well also invade the television time slots. So here we go, friends. We'll see what the Oilers have in store for us tonight. But obviously, what we know from Chris Knoblauch yesterday and what we know from the lines at practice yesterday is once more there's an issue in Edmonton. And I'm not sitting here saying it's going to cost the Oilers the cup. I'm not sitting here saying it's doom and gloom. I'm just sitting here saying I don't know how Ninja continues to get the sponsorship of the Oilers that they do. I mean, literally, Ninja Blenders or Ninja Food Prep is able to sponsor the Edmonton Oilers lineup every single season since I've covered the Oilers here on YouTube back starting in 2018-2019. It is absolutely incredible. Now, what I mean by that, that's a little bit of a joke. It's a little bit of an inside thing if you follow the channel. The blender, Dave Tippett's blender, right? Ninja's the big food prep brand right now, so I figured I'd use that, but you understand where I'm going with it. We'll talk about the lines here in a matter of moments, but if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button on Dolynny TV. Would love to have you aboard as a regular viewer on the channel. That said, let's go to those lines, which, what is this? What is this? I don't know. I honestly, I mean, you'd figure at some point the Edmonton Oilers coaching staff, whoever's running that bench, would learn that you don't have to blender the lines every 5 seconds to get a result, but this is wild. I mean, yes, okay, I understand on the back end there's some sickness with Mr. John Klingberg and Matthias Ekholm, but look at this. Draisaitl, McDavid, Perry, and then Chris Knoblauch's like, yeah, Perry will play most of the time up there, but not all the time. We'll see situation to situation. Like, what are we doing here? Like, roll 4 lines, keep them together, get the job done. That seems to be common sense across most of the NHL except for in Edmonton. Arvidsson, RNH, Hyman, Podkolzin, Henrique, Brown, and then Skinner, Janmark, and Kapanen as we continue to have this fascination with Matthias Janmark as a potential 4th-line centerman. So none of it really translates here for me, and I'm not really overly impressed with this. But again, it's not on a this isn't going to work. It's not on a the Oilers are going to lose because of this scale. It's just on a at what point are you lose a game where you really should have had it in the bag against Detroit? You let it slip through your fingers, and this is what you do in response. Like, you gotta figure it out here at some point. No matter who's running this bench in Edmonton, just choose some lines. And to his credit, Chris Knoblauch's been a little better than his predecessors, but not by much. And I mean, you see the continued fascination as well with McDavid and Draisaitl together on the top line. It really, again, makes the Oilers that much easier to play against. And it just, I don't know. I really don't know what the end-all be-all goal of continuing to put those two together is, and continuing to make lineups like this that, on paper literally make no sense. From there's got to be a better way to set up the lineup than this. And I'm not blaming Chris here. I'm just saying this is a time-honored tradition in Edmonton that I have never really understood. Again, if any Edmonton Oilers head coach of the past 6 years wanted to explain to me kind of the ins and outs of every single decision they made, sure, maybe I'll change my mind. But I get that Corey Perry's having a great year, but he's not having a great year because he's playing on the top line. Victor Arvidsson, RNH, and Hyman, you know what? Yeah, okay, Hyman's had a pretty productive up and down the lineup year here so far, but again, I mean, I don't know what that's going to translate to, considering, now all of a sudden you've got a second line. If that was a third line, maybe it would have a little bit more effectiveness. Podkolzin, Henrique, Brown, I can see that having some highlights. Skinner, Janmark, Kapanen. I mean, this rotation we got on guys coming in and out, and I guess we were supposed to be trying Noah Philp as the permanent 4th-line center going into the playoffs, and now all of a sudden he's appearing to be scratched. I don't know. Maybe I'm a day late on this conversation, and that would be fine too, but it's just the Oilers never seem to learn. I mean, you don't have results with something, let it mesh, let it gel, let it see if it can marinate into something good, right? I mean, you throw a steak in the fridge in a Ziploc bag with some barbecue sauce and some spices. You don't go grill it 5 minutes later. That's pretty common sense. But it's just, again, maybe this comes from a spot. And like I said, I know there's sickness in the room. I know there's plenty of other stuff going on every single game in, game out. I'm not sitting here tearing down Chris Knobloch for this by any means, because this is just me frustrated with the fact that 6 years later, 7 years later, we still haven't quite learned that, things are allowed to be ebbs and flows even if the lines stay regular, right? You don't have to respond with line changes every single time you lose. And that, again, just seems to be the case here after a game against Detroit, which, again, you lost in a shootout. You got a point. You stayed in first. It's all going to be okay. And yet the Oilers here are blundering the lines like, again, something Dave Tippett or Jay Woodcroft or Ken Hitchcock or Todd McClellan would have done as well. So, I don't know. You make up your own mind on this one. This is just, again, me venting a little bit, just looking at it from a history standpoint. The Oilers really never learned that you can just keep the lines the same, win, lose, otherwise just, be committed to it, and you're probably going to see results, because if you think that you see results because Connor and Leon are together, you see results because Connor and Leon are on this team. Friends, one thing I will say as a caveat to it all, it's not a bad thing that Chris Knobloch's not afraid to try new things. That is a welcome thing, right? A coach that's stuck in his ways as well isn't always a productive one either. So, friends, I am up on out of here. Have yourself a great afternoon. We'll see you after the game on Saturday night. It's hockey night in Canada. Exciting.